Good. Good morning, everyone. My name is Juliana. I work for the Colombia Tourism Board. I'm proud to say we are the only South American tourist board based in London. So I'm here to help you. And I'm here to tell you a little about Colombia. So an early morning. I hope you're enjoying your coffee and having a Colombian coffee today. If not, I'm sure you'll get one later today after my presentation. So here, as I say, I'm going to talk about Colombia. Colombia is very new in terms of tourism. We only started promoting Colombia in 2006. When we started, it was the right time to start promoting Colombia because before that we couldn't promote a destination that wasn't safe. We had our own issues, but we are open now. We are a safe destination. We are just fighting against perception, basically. But I hope you learned something today and you can propose that to your clients. So here, sustainable Colombia. Why sustainable? I'm not going to say about how sustainable the companies are when they're recycling. It's more about how sustainable we are with the destination and with the suppliers that we have in Colombia. So because we are very new, let me get the presentation going. Because we are very new, we have managed to preserve lots of what we have given in our country. So we are the second most biodiverse country in the world per square kilometer. Not many people know about that. We are 5 times the size of the UK. Oh, let me see. Sorry. There you go. We are five times the size of the UK, so we are a very, very large country. So why we are the most biodiverse country in the world? We are number one in bird species and orchids, second in plants, amphibians, fish, and butterflies, which butterfly I think is moving out more towards the first place on the world. Third place in reptiles and palm trees, fourth in mammals, and we are among the 15 countries with the large forest coverage. So as I said, a lot of resources we have in Colombia and we are trying to preserve them. So when people go to Colombia, they have a really nice experience and they see how we are preserving the country. So this is the country, as I said, 5 times the size of the UK. When the Andes touches Colombia, right at the yellow part, it splits into three mountain ranges. So half of the country has a lot of mountains. The other half, which is the green bit, is the Amazon and the Eastern Plains. So nearly 40% of the country is preserved, is protected, is the Amazon and the Orinoquia region. The other color, so it's the pink, the pinkish and the yellow, it are the mountains. So even though they are the mountains, they're different from each other. We have the Pacific as well and the Caribbean. We are the only country in South America that has both oceans, so that also gives a lot of diversity to us. Um, so we are located on the equator, so we are an all year round destination. When you think about when is the best time to go to Colombia, well, we are an all year round destination. The weather varies more with the altitude at the time of the year. So if you're planning to go to the Caribbean, it's going to be hot all year round. But if you're planning to go to Bogota, it's gonna be about 16, 17 degrees in the day, and it will drop in the evening because we are at 2,600 meters above sea level. So very high altitude city. So I'm going to tell you a little bit what can be done in the main regions in Colombia. So basically, Bogota is the capital. We are 10 million population city, very, very large cities, same as London. You will always see the mountains in Bogota, as you can see from the picture. It's a city, it's very vibrant, but it's becoming one of the hub cities for South America, not only because of the capital of Bogota, but it's a very important city in the region because of the gastronomy scene, a lot of history, a lot of culture. What can be done in Bogota? So in Bogota, you can do the old city center, which is La Candelaria, is home to the largest gold museum in the world. So it's an experience to go to see all these small pieces of gold, and they all have a history. So it's definitely worth a visit. We have this Monserrate, which is a church on top of the mountains with a beautiful view of Bogota. You can see how big and extent Bogota is. You can go by cable car or you can go by train. So normally people go up one way and come down the other way. And some of the experience that can be done in Bogota are the gastronomy tours. So for example, you can go visit the different markets that can be seen, that you can find around Bogota. We say in Colombia that we have we have a fruit for every single day of the year. So the amount of fruit, it's amazing because we are on the tropics. You will see fruits that you've never seen before. Even happens to me every time I go back home. There's a new fruit all the time that I go. You can also have some graffiti tours around Bogota. Bogota, especially in the old city center. And we have salsa lessons. Of course, we are very famous for our music, for our rhythms. So not only salsa, we have reggaeton, we have merengue, we have different rhythms in Colombia that can be experienced when people are traveling around Colombia, and they can do a lot of workshops. But also not forget that Bogota is a city. So you can, around the city, you will find a lot of natural, we have a lot of nature around Bogota. And one is the Chingaza Natural Park, which is very, very close to Bogota. It's home to different types of birds. Sometimes you can see bears around that area. But the important thing about this park is that the ecosystem that is called paramo, that you can see those trees there. And the paramos, they basically grab the moist from the atmosphere and transform that into water. So Bogota's water mainly come from this ecosystem, and Colombia has nearly 60% of the world's paramos. We have it in Colombia. So you see a lot of nature around Colombia and Bogota. Then we move to the coffee cultural landscape. So as I said, we are very famous for our coffee, and we grow coffee from south to north of the country. So we have an all year round crop of coffee in Colombia. But the coffee cultural landscape is made of three main cities. The beauty about the coffee cultural landscape, you will see a lot of coffee plantations all around the region. And you can do the coffee experience in a coffee hacienda, which is like these beautiful houses that were the houses of the coffee growers before. You can go there. The scenery is beautiful. It's very lush, of course, as you can see, because of the plantation. And it's not only about coffee, it's about pineapples, cacao as well. So a lot of crops around the coffee plantation. And that's why also our coffee is such a good coffee, because it also grows with different types of fruits around the coffee plantations. As I said, it's about coffee, but you can also do a lot of trekking. So you can see here on your right hand side these really tall palms. It might be familiar if you have seen Encanto, the Disney movie. They're shown a lot around throughout the movies, because this is the only place in the world where a palm can grow at that altitude. So it's very unique as well. You do a lot of trekking around that area. They are very, very tall, about 60 meters high, very scenery as well. And around that area, you find beautiful colonial towns, which are very famous in Colombia because they are very picturesque. So they have, some are white, some are colorful, and it happens all around the old colonial town in the center. So what can you do around the coffee region? So I say the Cocora Valley, beautiful valley. You can see at the backdrop of my screen. The Nevada National Park, another national park that we have. We have snow on top of the mountains, a lot of trekking, waterfalls, wildlife as well. Salento is a beautiful colonial town where you can see, you can go in a nice cafe, play even the famous sport that is called tejo. That basically is like a steel disc that you throw and explodes with a gunpowder. It sounds very dangerous, but I promise it's not. It's really fun. It's played a lot by the locals, so the locals get involved with a beer and their traditional food. And a lot of adventure sports can be done around this area. So it's the coffee and a lot of activities such as hiking, biking is very famous around this region. It has the longest climb in the world as well. And then also we have some hot thermal springs around that area. Then we go to Medellin. So Medellin is was famous for its bad past, sadly, but it has a history, and we cannot deny the history that Medellin has. But they've done a really good job in transforming it to the city it is today. It has won a lot of awards because of being very innovative. But what you can do here in Medellin is go, for example, to visit La Comuna 13, which was a place that people couldn't go in the 80s, not even the police, because it was very dangerous. But they have done these urban art graffiti tours that they tell what happened, and it tells how people basically came together to move forward, to get out of the violence that they were having. And honestly, Medellin is one of the places that really people want to go, not need to learn, and they learn in an informative way. So it is very key for people when they're going to Medellin, they do that. Again, we have things around happening around the city. So Guatapé is this beautiful stone that nobody is there, but it has a beautiful view, a lot of water sport around that area. And it can be do again coffee tours around Medellin. If people want to skip Medellin, a coffee region, they can do a coffee tour here, or they can do a coffee tour in Cartagena, which I'm going to talk about later. Here, I think it's important to highlight the all the activities around Colombia basically are done by the locals. So I think that the sustainable, how we sustain growing tourism, involving the communities and the communities benefiting from them as well. And then we get to Cartagena. So Cartagena, it has been our always most important city in Colombia. It is located by the coast. It's called the jewel of the Caribbean, basically because it's beautiful. It is very well preserved. It is a walled city that has a wall, so you can see it at the top, a wall around the city. It has a fortress as well, and everything happens mainly inside the city. So beautiful colonial and republican hotels. We have boutique, we have a Sofitel Legend, so different types of accommodation within the city. And Cartagena is about enjoying the city. It is located by the coast, but it's not a beach destination itself. It's more about key history and culture. So we recommend people to stay there a couple of nights, 3 nights, because the city it is beautiful. So you go to a nice restaurant in the morning, and then have dinner outside. It all depends. It is about the city and interacting with the communities as well. So you will see the locals having a nice drink outside, very chill, very relaxed. It's hot all year round, so we call it what we say later culture, that everything can be done later. I roll of fish as well because we are located by the seaside, and around the colonial city you can also have activities with the locals. So you can go to the mangroves, for example, a lot of music workshops as well, because here is more about the reggaeton, this type of music that is more lively and most typical from the Caribbean. You can take a catamaran trip as well around the bay. You can see the panoramic views from Cartagena. So we have a modern part and the old city center as well. Bird watching as well is very important on that coast, not only Cartagena, more towards the north. So a lot of bird watching, and very close to Cartagena, well, not very close, 4 hours drive from Cartagena, you'll find a place where you will find the most endemic species in Colombia. Beaches as well. As I said, Cartagena is not a beach destination, but very close to Cartagena, you will find small coral islands, beautiful colors, Caribbean type of colors, where your clients will be able to stay there as well. So they combine the city of Cartagena with the Caribbean ocean, Caribbean colors, with these beautiful hotels that are very secluded. Some are located on just one island, and the people can stay there and combine those two, which I think is a really nice mixture, because you have the city, the museums, but you also want to relax on a nice beach, and Cartagena offers that as well. Towards the north of the city, we have of the country, we have national parks as well with indigenous communities. So again, in terms of sustainability, we are working out our bit of promoting Colombia's sustainable destination. We are one of the few countries that have a sustainable policy issued by the government. So it shows how much committed we are towards preserving what we were given, and how lucky we are to have this amazing country, and how we are working together with the communities, with the suppliers, with the hotels, to make sure it's not only being sustainable in recycling, protecting our environment, but also sustainable with the communities, more like a social sustainability. It's what we're aiming for, because we are growing very quickly in terms of tourism. We have to make sure this is done in a sustainable way. Just so you know, before I think I'm running out of time shortly, just from the UK, we had over 70,000 UK tourists traveling last year to Colombia, and we had over 4 million tourists going into the country last year. How do you get to Colombia? We have a direct flight from London to Bogota daily, with our national airline that is Avianca, but you can connect through other cities in Europe, as we are very well connected as well, because we are just at the top of South America. It's very easy for people to connect from Europe to Colombia. It's just only a 10-hour flight, so it's not that long as my people think that it's very long. It's long, but it's not that long as most people can think of. So it's between 9 coming from Bogota to London and 10 going back to Bogota. So I'm here if you have any questions. As I said, I'm based in the UK, so more than happy to help you. And I hope you give a chance to Colombia. It is an amazing destination. It has so many things to do when you travel from Bogota to the coffee region, to Medellin, to the Caribbean. Basically, it's a different country every time you travel around Colombia. Thank you very much.